Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be doing a Zettelkasten study session, and the topic we're going to be studying is around the ketogenic diet and the science behind that. So let's dive right in. So over here, I have a study note from a YouTube video which I found. It was recommended to me as something quite interesting, but it was packed with lots of information. So what I did is I watched this video and I've gone through and I've made my sort of bullet point section notes. And what we're going to do in this video here is we're going to organize that into our slip box in the Zettelkasten method. So the goal here is to take this study note, which I have in ready to process, and we're going to move it into the archive so it becomes part of our evergreen content. So the way we do this is we're going to take that note and we're going to pin it to the right hand side. And now we can go into the archive and let's look at our top level notes in the archive. So this is my second brain here. And I've got a sort of a map of all the types of things that I want to be recording into my second brain. And diet and nutrition is one of those. So let's create an entry here for the ketogenic diet. Okay, so we'll create this note here and we want that as a permanent note and it's in draft state. So ketogenic diet consists of a variety of things. So what I'm going to be doing in this is I'm just going to sort of map out all the components of this. So when we're talking about ketogenic diet, we have ketones, which is spelled like that, ketones. Insulin plays a role. There's a thing called the Insulin Index. We have how do you decrease insulin. Mention that it's a dominating hormone. Keto specifically, some ideas. So the point of the Zettelkasten is that you are essentially piecing together the single kind of threads of ideas into your slip box so that you can recall those, and the connections of how these come together are really important. And the reason I say that is because things like how do we place in like junk food, junk food on the side. In other words, if you're doing dieting but you're sort of sneaking junk food in, you're sort of breaking that. So you want to capture some thinking around how eating a little bit of junk food can actually break you out of producing ketones, therefore you're not getting the full benefit of the ketogenic diet. And essentially, once we've got the map of content, what comes out of that is where do we want the research to go next? This is obviously from one YouTube video, from one person. It's a very one-sided way of looking at the content, fully packed, and understanding and knowledge really comes from pulling different sources. Some support the arguments, some counteract the arguments, and then you make your own decisions once you've done your research. So ketogenic diet. So let's start by just mapping out some things. So I like to create a see also section, and we'll have ketones. Okay, and then let's dive into that. We'll just go down from top to bottom. So ketones. Now, what I would probably do here is maybe go to Wikipedia and just get like a description of what a ketone is. So if I want to refer to it, I'm not going to do that in this video. I just want to take these notes and process them. So we'll create another section. So we'll call this see also, and I'm going to go benefits of ketones. I cannot spell ketones. I keep putting K-E-Y. Ketones. Okay, right, benefits of ketones, and then we'll create this note here. And now we can say the benefits of ketones are, and then we'll put more energy output. Okay. It's an appetite suppressant. More efficient. More efficient at what? More efficient. I'd probably have to refer back to, but I think it was at energy supply. Then we've got improved. Now I'm just going to double like a lipid profile. I just want to pull that out actually, because I feel that's something that should be isolated in its own right. Just create the placeholder there. And then a tumors can't consume ketones. So tumors generally feed on sugars, and keto is low carbohydrate. I think there might be a definition later on in here. And then produces more O2 and less CO2. So in theory, you're less out of breath, which is kind of interesting. So these are the benefits of ketones. Now, the way I look at this, more energy output, I like the idea of now thinking about when would I want to refer to ketones, in what context that that benefit becomes surfaced. So for example, let's put a C also, and I'm just going to create a new card here. So how to improve your energy. So let's think of this as a high level thing, and now we have benefits of ketones, and then we can say ketones are shown to provide more energy. So as I sort of refine these over time, I would probably put more words around that. I just want to get the placeholders and really the network, the connected thinking together. Now, what I would probably say here actually is, how do I know that ketones produce, why do they produce more energy? This is something that I feel like my way of understanding is to support things rather than just have a statement in isolation. If I can't comprehend how the thing works, then I start questioning, like, am I assuming that's true? Have I been given the right information? Like, can I logically defend that ketones produces more energy output? So in that question, I'm going to say, how do ketones produce more energy? Let's put a question mark on that so I know that's something I want to answer. So I've got this here, and now this is a permanent note which I've got in draft state. So at some point I can go through and review my drafts and plan out what research I want to bring in now to start answering these questions. Okay, and then, so how to improve your energy. Ketones be known to produce more energy. See how ketones produce more energy. Right now I can link the research that I am planning for now in the future into that. Okay, so these are the benefits. Appetite suppression. We could do the same for here. So we're saying how to feel less hungry. So I'll do that. And we've got ketones. We'll do the same thing. I cannot spell ketones. Ketones are known to suppress appetite. So now, like, how does that work, right? So see how ketones suppress appetite. Okay. With or without the question mark, it doesn't. I'm just sort of putting the placeholders in. So like things to research. I could probably put a note here. What is appetite? And again, these would probably link into more notes, so I get this kind of map of content. How does ketones impact? How does ketones affect appetite? Okay, right. So now we can go back to the benefits of ketones. And we can say, another reference here, how ketones suppress appetite. Okay, so now we've linked those together. More efficient energy supply. Now, again, like, this is a thing that there's a whole host of energy supply. We're talking about the mitochondria, the kind of and the cell barrier, which is essentially acts as a battery for cell production. Like, this is a subject I find immensely fascinating. So now we can start laying the groundwork for this, is how the body gets its energy. So let's place that one in, how the body gets its energy. Let's put that like that. I have to, let's just, can I F5 that? Sorry, 1 second. The reason I'm refreshing is I renamed it, so it didn't pick up the backlink after it renamed it. That's fine. So so how the body gets its energy. So we're talking about energy and efficiency. So we're looking at so here we would probably want to answer like how the body powers from ketones, and yeah, that's fine. And then yeah, that's probably one way of doing it. If it's not ketones, that research when that comes can do there. And then tumors can't consume ketones. I'm probably going to reserve like that kind of, you know, tumors, cancer, or like all of that. I'll probably reserve once I'm sort of going down that line of thread in my research. I don't feel it's something I want to dive too heavily into at the moment, and produces more O2 and less CO2. Again, I'm not so interested in that specifically, but I think when I get more research, I'll be linking to ketones as a result of that. But you get the idea. So here we go. Those are the benefits. So we've completed that section. Now, insulin. So insulin is an interesting one in the ketogenic diet. So what we do know about ketogenic diet, I think I've put it further down. Bloating. There's a lot in here. Okay. It is a low carbohydrate, high fat and moderate or adequate protein diet. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. Right, so it works by consuming foods that do not produce an insulin spike. Okay, so now we've introduced the concept of insulin, and we can bring it in here. So while this isn't specifically about insulin, what it is, how it works, we do have some content around it. So let's do a see also on this one. See also effects of insulin. I like to number my things 1 to whatever. So effects of insulin. So now we're going to take this piece of research here. High levels of insulin over time can cause heart disease. Well, let's just copy and paste this rather than typing it. Okay, these are the things. So again, like now, at some point, if I want to do some research on dementia, diabetes, fatty liver, like this, I should be thinking about linking these back in. I'm not going to do that for the time being. I just want to capture this line of thinking, so I've got the information there. So, and there'll be a placeholder here to fill out this. So the insulin index is an interesting one. What is the insulin index? Insulin index. So this is a scale of how non-carbohydrate foods, I guess, foods influence cause a spike in insulin production, or insulin in the bloodstream. I'm guessing that's what. Okay, so we haven't really said what. Well, we know what the impact of high insulin over time causes. It's one of the major causes of obesity, the way it works. If you're unfamiliar with that, the concept here is that insulin tells the cells to to absorb the insulin to get its energy, but they get clogged up. And it also tells the cells or the body to store excess sugars as fat, basically. So you put on weight. So you stop that, basically triggering the fat storage mechanism. That's the idea there. So, so fat, if you're eating fats, has a low influence on insulin. And lean, low-fat protein. Well, let's pull this one out actually as a separate heading. Lean, low-fat protein. For example, whey protein has a very high insulin index. In other words, if you're eating whey protein, you spike your insulin, essentially. And then we're looking at eggs, whole eggs versus white, egg whites only. Has a whole eggs instead of egg whites only has a much less insulin spike. Okay. How do you decrease insulin? So let's go back up to insulin. How to decrease insulin. How to decrease insulin. Okay, right. So here we go. We can introduce, here are methods to decrease insulin. Fasting. Now I can just link straight into these now, so I can create a fasting. That's a placeholder there. GIP, hormone. Oh wait, hang on. I need to pay attention to what this is. So GIP hormone in the intestine gets activated when you eat, no matter what you eat. So that's really, so we need to understand what a GIP hormone is. GIP hormone. So the GIP hormone gets activated when you eat, no matter what you eat. So actually, let's pull that into its own thing here, and we'll link into the GIP hormone. I don't know what that is, so I'll just put a note here. So what is the relationship between insulin and GIP hormone? And the question is, does the GIP hormone trigger that? And therefore, what's the impact? Actually, the reason I'm going to move this, it doesn't have an impact there. It has an impact in fasting. Let's go to everything here. Oh, lost my place now. Fasting. So obviously if you're not eating during a window, then your GIP hormone isn't being triggered. So see also between. Actually, this is where your thinking sort of forms itself. So let's put the GIP hormone here, and we can say by fasting you don't activate, is the word, activate the GIP hormone because you are on a time restricted eating, limited eating schedule. You don't activate when fasting. In other words, when you are eating, you do trigger it, obviously. But now, one way of decreasing insulin is via fasting. Other ways, we don't really cover. I guess you can. Normally, you would think that if you ate low carbs, that you wouldn't spike insulin. But I'm not going to put that in because I I need to support that with other evidence because it wasn't specifically spelt out in this video. I don't want to make it up, even though my understanding may lead down that path. So did insulin, let's go back up to insulin, is a dominating hormone. So a hormone, this is a thing in its own right. Hormones. Hormones. HORMO. So let's list them out. Insulin. So now we have insulin as a dominating hormone. In other words, this means that it can switch off other hormones like the growth hormone. So you can stunt your growth, essentially, is what it's saying if you're high on insulin. So that's quite an interesting. Again, we could complete the map of this if we wanted to go down that line. Like, what other hormones? What is the growth hormone? How does that? That's a whole separate kind of interlinked set of content around there, set of understanding. Okay, did we skip down? We've done the insulin index, keto. So let's go back to the ketogenic diet. Considerations of the ketogenic diet. So we're saying again, if there are more considerations, that could be pulled out in its own notes. But for now, so you can't trigger ketone production by partially doing the ketogenic diet. So it's like a switch. It's like a switch where your insulin has to be below a threshold for it to activate. And I will never be able to spell ketone. So if following the keto diet, then be honest if you are snacking on junk food and expecting results. The video was quite interesting. It's coming from a practitioner who's dealing with patients who are being put on the ketogenic diet, and they come in and they say, like, it's not working. And they say, are you eating anything you shouldn't be? And they say, no, I'm not eating anything I shouldn't be. What I loved about this is that he says, how does that question make you feel? Because what you say and how you feel are not always the same thing. And it turns out that actually they were snacking, therefore they weren't getting the results. I really like that. I want to capture that. What am I going to do? I'm not going to worry about it too much now. I'm just going to create an idea. Questions versus feelings. I'm just going to pull that out into an idea so I remember it. That's in draft state, so it'll get picked up in my workflow, and I can figure out where I could put that in my permanent store. Capture something like when would I use that? It may not be to do with the ketogenic diet or anything like that, but it could be to do with other kinds of mentoring, where essentially it's like a mentoring thing where you're trying to help someone, but they feel guilty over the question or their answer to the question, and you can't genuinely help someone if they're not telling you the truth, if you're not seeing like the true representation of what's going on. So I think that's kind of interesting. So what I've done here is I've taken that and I've put it as an idea, which I can come back to at some other time. Okay, right, let's move on. So we've got intermittent fasting. So the ketogenic diet. ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, they are different things. So we don't really need to worry about that here. But if we bring up our fasting, actually I'm going to call it intermittent fasting. So here we go. Feeling. You should not feel hungry when fasting, as your body is consuming your own fat stores for energy. In other words, the body's doing what the body does. As long as it's being supplied energy and you've not got the hormone that triggers it, then you shouldn't feel hungry. You shouldn't be ravenous fasting. And this is one of the misconceptions over fasting. It's like, oh, that's starvation. It's not, because you are actually still feeding your body. It just comes from the excess fat on your body, not the food you consume. Now, hunger hormone. So let's have a look at hormones here. Let's put the hunger hormone. Once I understand the proper names of these things, I can rename those and fill up that map. But eating stimulates the hunger hormone. So what we're saying, I want to capture the idea here. So eating stimulates the hunger hormone. This means that in a fasted state, you are not necessarily triggering hunger. So the more you eat, the more hungry you feel. We all know that feeling. And when you're in a fasted state, you don't necessarily feel hungry. So, all right, let's get back to intermittent fasting. Here we go. Right. So 4-hour window, recommendations. So 4-hour window by squeezing lunch and dinner together. So everyone is different, but a good starting point may be a 4-hour window where you're squeezing lunch and dinner together. Lunch and dinner together. Some people may need just one meal a day, but you do need enough nutrients in that meal. So nutrients is a concept now where, let's bring that out in its own thing. I don't know enough about the details of nutrients. Let's put a capital N on that because I want to bring it into a proper top level. That can stay in draft state. And we're saying supplements during fasting. So you're not eating fat when you're not eating. So you not feel hungry as your body, so you fat stores for energy. It's the same thing. Sea salts. Sea salts and electrolytes. So again, I quite like the idea of pulling these out into their own content areas, because if you were going to be doing sea salts, how frequently should you take them? What are the benefits on the body? All of these things. The fascinating thing about going through this process is you start with one video. This is just one video that I watched, and you sort of expand your knowledge, your sphere of knowledge, and you realize now that you can paint in the rest of your content. And one question, getting the answer to one question creates 5 more questions. There'll probably be never an end to this, but by using a system like the Zettelkasten, you get to organize all of this in a great way. So sleep. So we're talking really about weight loss, actually. So let's bring in a new note. Methods or things that impact weight loss. So we know that we've got the ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet. And we know that we've got fasting, intermittent fasting. Okay, now we've got sleep. So let's bring in, I've already got a note on sleep. I can't remember why I put calcium, magnesium, but let's say here, see also how sleep impacts weight loss. So this is a good sort of launching pad now to some new line of thinking. So all we know at the moment is lack of sleep can impact weight loss, and then how does this happen? So here's now a line of thinking. I know, like the line of inquiry is, I know that sleep can impact weight loss. I can't tell you why specifically with my current understanding. So, but what I've done is I've linked the two together, so there's room for more investigation. Reading the next word, exercise. So here we go, exercise. So what do we know about exercise? Regular and consistent exercise is preferable than infrequent but more intense exercise. I can't tell you why that would be. So I'll put a little, what's the best frequency and intensity for exercise? And that may depend on your goals, as far as I know. So, but what we do know is exercise benefits. Exercise, size, triggers, I'm going to create autophagy. Protects the immune system and supplement and fills and improves the oxygen level in the body. Again, more lines of inquiry here. Autophagy, fascinating subject. It's about how cells recycle themselves, and the immune system is how the defense mechanism of intruders works. And so benefits. Now here's an interesting one, sleep. When exercise benefits happen, usually happens within 48 hours after exercise when you're sleeping. So here's the thinking here. We've got sleeping and we've got exercise. So let's link these together. And we'll create a see also how sleep improves or exercise. Could go the other way, how exercise improves sleep maybe. Let's just do it this way around. Let's link sleep and exercise together. I probably don't need to be excessive with my actually I won't do that because we know in theory, if I bring up the sleep section I think it's actually an index that's doing everything. sleep, how exercise, or how sleep improves exercise. Now we can link those two together. So we've got exercise and sleep linked in here. And what do we say? Sleep helps get the benefits from exercise after 48 hours. So I can get more information on this. What happens during sleep that is triggered from exercise. So that's something I can think of at another time. Okay, bloating. So here's the thing. If you're bloated, it can impact weight loss. Things that can impact weight loss. Lovely subject here, bloating. Oh, missed it. Bloating. So bloating can impact weight loss. Now, I'm guessing we need to answer, like, what is bloating? It can impact weight loss. How to improve bloating. Then we're saying vegetables is one of the preferred cures for reducing bloating. Now, again, how do impact bloating? And then some people, however, may react badly to some vegetables if they suffer from bloating. Okay, keto fatigue. So let's go back to the keto section. Keto fatigue, or keto flu, I guess. Maybe they treat them as different. Right, considerations of that. And we're going to have keto fatigue, and I'm just going to say C, keto. I want to bring this out into its own note. Keto fatigue, right? Causes, symptoms, mostly a potassium deficiency. So mostly a potassium deficiency. You dump a lot of fluid when you go on the ketogenic diet. The body retains sodium more than potassium. So again here, I could just pull these out because they obviously have some type of high level meaning in my knowledge system. Sodium and potassium. Okay, the body retains sodium and potassium. Potassium. So now we can just put in here, so like potassium is protective of the kidney. Potassium is protective of the kidney. If you take supplements, I think that's what it was referring to. However, not advised if you have kidney disease. We could look at that note and we could say, okay, well, what is potassium? How does it protect the kidney? All of those. Remedies. Take a potassium supplement, and then recommended dose, something like 4,700 mg a day. However, need to confirm that figure. So it was in the YouTube video. Don't just go live your life off a YouTube video. Do read labels and things like that. So it'd be nice to do a bit of independent research on that. All right, so we've got more details on potassium here. So what it does, it balances fluids and works with sodium. Okay, helps make HCl. I don't know what HCl is. What is HCl? Probably means something if you're familiar with that. Helps the cell pump work to produce energy. Nerve and muscle energy. Helps. I don't really know what these, like, I'm just going to put placeholders here so we know like how to dig more into this. Helps the normal heart rhythm. Decreases blood pressure, buffers uric acid, and makes cell energy. Okay, right. It's really benefits, isn't it? Benefits of potassium. There we go. Main purpose. So sodium, potassium are the pump on the cells. Main purpose of potassium. Working with sodium and potassium together, it acts as a pump on the cells. So it keeps potassium inside the cell, or the body keeps the body keeps potassium inside the cell and the sodium outside the cell, creating an electrical gradient. How does it work? So the body keeps the potassium on the inside, sodium on the outside. This acts like a battery, capacitor to power the cell. Okay, there's a diagram of that in the video. So let's link to C. I'm just going to link back to this study note, practical keto. Because I may want to pull that out in the future, but it'll be nice to reference it here. Video at 25:15 for a diagram of the ATP and ADP plus. I don't know what this means, but it's part of the body process. Okay, and then how does it work? The body allocates 30% of all its energy to these pumps. So 30% of your body's energy are purely down to the potassium and sodium. So you can imagine if you had a deficiency, then it would impact your energy levels. And then, so we're saying lack of potassium. So the electrical energy activates the nerve and muscle tissue, and a lack of it, a lack can cause weakness in the muscle. The electrical energy activates the nerve and muscle tissue. So if you need that electrical energy to move your muscles rather than maybe power the cells, then you can imagine if you've got a deficiency, you don't have the energy to move your muscles. There's a thing here called hypoglycemia. So let's see also. No, not hypoglycemia. I'm just reading that without thinking. Hypokalemia. So this is the low level of potassium. Symptoms: feeling tired. So here we go. We can say, see also, feeling tired. So if I create that, possible causes, and we could say hypo. So now we can link that, and we just, so if I have a top level note saying, oh, I'm feeling tired, what could be the causes, and you can drill in from that way. Remedies, foods high in potassium. Actually, this should be its own thing. How do you know what foods are high in potassium? Because it does go into that in the notes. So this sounds really interesting. What does it mean? Let's create. So let's create a cell energy, and we'll create this thing. So the cell membrane functionality is equivalent to a capacitor. I'm just going to paste that in. Stores energy like a battery. And it can generate 200 kilovolts of energy. Wow. That's cell energy. Just thought I'd kind of capture that there. So cell energy. And if we create a cell membrane, and just link that in there. So the two link there. So I've got that kind of complete mapping there. So higher potassium foods. Foods high in potassium. Let's just paste that in, to be honest. And then, and these. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. Keto Flu, let's go back to the ketogenic. Ketogenic diet. So, so we've got keto fatigue, and then we've got keto flu. So, symptoms: lethargy, confusion, fatigue, muscle weakness. Causes: salt deficiency, 40% sodium, and 6% chloride, and then needs more. And we had a sea salt. What did I call it? Sea salts. Needs more sea salts. Peripheral neuropathy. There's the hypoglycemia. I think this Okay, I'm not gonna dwell too much on that. I think if it's important, my path in other research will find it again. But vitamin B1, so it makes myelin. So it makes myelin and helps maintain energy. Don't know what myelin is? Oh, myelin. So we'll create that. What is it and how does it work? Vitamin B1 and maintains energy. C also, and then we had something to do with energy. How the body gets its energy. There you go. If you're low on energy, it. All right, let's move that into the. Oh. Benefits. Then protects the cells, especially the mitochondria, especially the mitochondria, from damage of high. I'm going to create a top level note for sugar. So we can create that. Come back here and we can create that. Okay, and then protects the cells from high damage. It's considered a nerve vitamin. I don't know what nerve vitamin is, but that sounds interesting. Let's bring that out. Okay, when low on B1. So you get, there's an interesting topic here. You get this, neuritis, nervous anxiety. Raids lactic acid. Lactic acid and reduces lactic acidosis and help factor in turning food into energy by controlling 4 mitochondrial enzymes. So let's link those in. I don't know what for. I don't really understand how. So mitochondrial enzymes, and we've got the mitochondria. C also. There we go. Right. Back to vitamin B1. And prevents damage to the mitochondria. Okay. Let's do stars. Right. Oh my goodness, keeps going. Now, problem with this is I've sort of lost how they link into the ketogenic, but it's fine. So here we go. Fat soluble B1. Soluble. Let's fix that there. So it's a benefits. Vital cofactor in the metabolism of energy. So we got C also. C mitochondria, and I don't think I've got metabolism. Right. The problem with medicine, in a way, or this biology, is that you've got all this, like an awful lot of terminology to link together. So protective layer against diabetic vascular complications. So let's put that. Reduces the production of advanced glycogen end products. Okay. Let's put it around that, and we'll create that. Decreases oxidative stress. So if you're looking at kind of the holistic kind of everything together, you can see how there's lots of ways of entry points into linking these things together. And I guess you know, medicine in a way is essentially the, you know, this massive map of things that are interrelated and trying to make sense of it. So it protects against the damage of these things. I think I've got hyperglycemia, and protective against retinopathy. I don't know what that means. And reduces diabetic complications. Reduces diabetes, I guess. Let's create that. Right. Hair loss. Here we go. Let's create a new top level causes. These things. We can bring out selenium, zinc, actually, I'm going to include the word deficiency on these because the content is what should you do if you're deficient, what foods can supplement it, so all of that. So if you were to figure out more concretely like how to tackle it, then that's what you would want to do. So foods, so those are some foods there. Selenium, let's go into the selenium deficiency. We've got foods there, and shellfish. So if you were, and as long as you have enough selenium, you can counteract. So antioxidants. So let's have a look at selenium. It's just, so antioxidants, I like that as a subject in its own right. And we've got Hashimoto's, kind of spell Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's. Okay, that. Hashimoto's. So you've got the thyroid, Hashimoto's, antioxidants. That can be fleshed out in more detail there. And key foods. I can't quite remember where they were in. Dairy foods. Let's create that. I just want to capture symptoms of high dairy. So you can get acne or fibroids. Recommendations to eat grass-fed organic dairy. Okay. There's a lot of citations and sources in here which would be kind of interesting to refer to at some point. So what I'm going to do here, because I want to close off this this here, I'm just going to create an idea. So review practical keto sources. There's the YouTube video. Section there. So I can go through there and pull out the, just hide that for the moment, and pull out those. Okay, right, we got to the end. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I've gone through that. And I'm going to mark this as complete. And that study note now has been completed. I can go into my archive, and in my permanent notes now, I have a whole new map of content which I can continue adding to, continue refining and building up things there. So which means if I want to create a project now that takes that knowledge, wants to put it into practical use. So if I'm doing it for myself and I want to follow the ketogenic diet, avoid things like, you know, the keto flu, have a real understanding of how it works, then I've got this knowledge base here. If at some point in my life I find that my hair is falling out, I can do something there. If diabetes is a concern, I'll be able to like follow through some of that more research. And if I'm looking at supplements, I can see what the benefits are, what the symptoms are when you may need them. And if I'm getting blood tests and things like that, it's, you know, good to know where my levels should be, and you document that in here. You just build up this rather rich knowledge system in here. So that's been epic. Hard work, obviously, but if you are following along, then it's a good insight as to how to approach kind of pulling study notes or literature notes and feeding that into your Zettelkasten and building up that map of content. And hopefully you've learned something along the way with the research as we go through these study sessions. So if you're interested in using this app, which is the app that I'm building around the Zettelkasten, then check the link in the description and you can sign up and get access to the app. So thank you very much, and catch you in the next one.